Let's make a woven wheel. Now guys, let go of perfection on this one. Even if you get these lines totally straight, everything's in a perfect circle, when you put it on your hoop, it's gonna get distorted. So just know from the beginning, this is not gonna be perfect. We wanna start with an uneven number of spokes. So I'm using 5 here. You could also use 7 if you're doing a big flower. Started from the center on this first one. Pull my knot out, tighten everything a little bit. And then I'm just going, doing a long straight stitch to the end of my line. Okay, so like I said, it is not perfect. This one is a little shorter. It's short enough, but I'm actually gonna add another stitch. So I'm gonna come out here and do a little back stitch that goes back to that line. I don't always do that, but if I can tell, oh, this obviously is too short, I'm just gonna extend my line a little bit. I also left a little gap in the center. That's up to you. You can leave a big gap and fill it in with French knots. You can pull everything super tight to the middle. So now that I have my spokes done, I'm gonna come in the center, bring my needle back up to the top. And then now we're just gonna weave around, why it's called the woven wheel, weave around our spokes. So I'm gonna go over this one, under the next one, over, under. So they will alternate. So last time I went over this one, this time I will go under. You also get to decide how tight you want to pull everything. I usually start fairly tight in the center. And then as I'm going, if I want my flower to lay flat, I will not pull as tight. If I want it to kind of build up, you're gonna pull a little bit tighter. But you'll start to see as you go over, under, over, under, over, under, you'll start to see your flower take shape, and then you can make those decisions as far as, oh, that needs to be tighter. Oh, I'm not sure that I like that. Whoops. And then sometimes you just make a big old mess like that. So you can see as I start to pull this tight, it overlaps up on top of itself. If you keep pulling tight, it's gonna give you some dimension. So this is definitely a stitch that you need to be more careful with. I always save the woven wheel to the end of a piece if I can, especially if it's bigger flowers. If I was just keeping it a small flower, you know, this size, we may be okay, but if you're working on something a little bigger, it's just gonna have more and more chance to distort if you do it first. So I typically save these guys to the end. You can do your spokes a different color. If I had done those green, it would look like, you know, the little parts that hold the petals inside of their shape. So that's up to you. I keep going until I can't see these spokes anymore. Here's the one where we added a little extra stitch, and it's a good thing I did because it would have been way too short. So here I'm gonna go up underneath that a little bit so I can get around a couple more times. So see there, as I pulled too tight and it's starting to become bigger and bigger, I'm gonna loosen this up because I don't want it on top of my flower. I still want it to stay off to the side. So as you start getting toward the outside of your wheel, you may have to work a little slower. I will sometimes even hold all of this down so that I don't accidentally pull too much slack out. And then I will keep working around. When you are done with your flower, to get back to the bottom, I'm gonna take my needle and I'm just gonna go up underneath and pull. And again, I don't wanna pull this too tight, so I'm gonna go nice and slow and make sure that everything stays as flat as I want it. Ignore that, that was the thread being silly. So on this one from our Joy Christmas sampler, I added a little French knots in the center, but you can see how it's not perfect. So let go of any of that But I do frequently take these out and redo them if they start to get like too tight, too bunched up, too unruly. I will just start over because sometimes it's easier to do that than fix it. But if you're not careful with your work, see, this is kind of how they get a little messy. This is several years old and all the other stitches look great, but the woven wheel, not so much.